Hello, YouTube. Welcome back to A Screenwriter's Journey, day 101. Yesterday, I teased that I was going to do a live bit today, which obviously isn't today in real life, but it was when I recorded it, in that I was talking as I was going through the script. And I'm recording this voiceover, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks after the fact, and oh, a lot has happened since then, all of which I guess I'll eventually document, because that's the journey, right? It's the good times and the bad times and the, oh man. So this day is going to start out with a little bit of it looks like I did some work on the end of the script, and then I got into this part where I basically talked, I think, through the first 10 or 11 pages of the script, and it's a long video. So knowing what I know in the present, I would tell my past self not to have done it for reasons that I won't go into right now. But so obviously, I don't have to say this, but it's up to you. If you want to watch/listen, be my guest. And if you don't, be my guest and skip ahead to day 102. But here we are on day 101. So I'm at the end of the script, and and again, this is like 3 weeks after I wrote this, so I really need to think what I'm doing. I'm just sort of tweaking the ending to make it a little more visually understandable, I guess. And I'm trying to remember. Oh yeah, so I did change his last line. I tried to tie it into that ant thing so it doesn't come out of the blue. But this is, trying to remember if this is after I've gotten the feedback from the different people. This is kind of embarrassing. I should have come better prepared. Because I got feedback, but I don't remember when I made these changes. I think maybe this is, I just don't remember. So always the trick is when you want to change something that leads up to something that you really like, and then you realize, oh no, I'm going to have to change that line too. And then you kind of lose the line you like. Hopefully that's not. So I was trying to feed her a line. I was trying to have Hogan feed her a line that would still allow Holly to say what she did. And now let's go live to me on that day. Okay, this is part 2, but it's still day 101 of A Screenwriter's Journey. I thought I recorded my voiceover live as I was fixing that last little bit, but then I realized I didn't have, in my OBS, I did not have the microphone level up. So there will be nothing, but that's fine, because then I can do it at 5, or I did it at 500%. All right, now this is kind of, believe it or not really scary. That's the wrong word. That's a stupid word. But I had mentioned I got a great review and some notes from the one person, and now another person who I met on Zoetrope, and I'm not going to mention her name. I will say her in case she ever watches this, so I can thank you in advance. Hopefully that could be a risky thing to do. But someone I met on the Zoetrope.com site, it's got to be 20 years ago. It's probably more than that. That doesn't even seem possible, but I bet it is. I'd have to look. Great writer. I don't know what she's had produced, or if anything. She helped me do some work on my first, well, she got a co-writing credit, I think, on the first movie that I made, We No Care, or something like that. In the second movie, I think and I think a credit on the third movie. I think on the third movie mostly helped me with just little stuff. But anyways, she's written a lot of her own stuff. I don't know if any of it's been produced yet, but very good writer. I value her opinion a lot. So what I'm leading up to is she has read 55 pages of the script before I made these changes, like to the go-kart track and to the stuff with the promise and the stuffed animals and the stuff at the end. And I told her, if you haven't read it, you might want to hang on. But she said, no, I'm just going to go ahead and read it. So it'll be super interesting, just to see her comments in general. And so she sent me a PDF, and I assume she's going to have comments embedded in it. I literally haven't looked to see yet. So it's always interesting and maybe a little scary to do that. And I had thought about recording her actual PDF, but I thought that'd be kind of intrusive. So I'm just going to look at it on my other screen, and then based on what I read, then maybe I'll make changes here. So again, I'm live, got the script open. And so the other thing is, will she make any comments about that go-kart track or the Save the Cat moment that I added? And again, she hasn't read it, but it'll be interesting to see if she thinks that something could be improved there. That's always the danger of getting good notes and then making changes and then getting other notes based on that previous version of the script. Because if they say something else, or, wow, I love that scene, don't do anything to it, then it's like, oh my gosh. So, like I said, it's not scary, but it's going to be fun. It's going to be kind of exciting, unless she hates it. All right, so I am reading her script again on my other screen that you can't see. And if I don't see any notes on it, then I don't know what I'm going to do. So I'm on page 8 and I haven't seen any notes yet. This could be very anticlimactic. What is going on here? Maybe they don't show up in the... All right, I may have to cut this. So I was watching it in a preview, and now I'm actually going to open it, which I should have done before. It's funny how it changes the font. I use off screen to mean off sound, off camera. Well, she made a note of Rachel's line that's off screen. She says she uses off camera, but I mean, it's potatoes. I'm not going to change it. I always use off screen because she said she uses off screen to mean off sound, which I don't exactly know what that means. Ha! That's funny. And that is super funny and super awesome. I changed this because at first I had it sets down, and the first peer reviewer said she should lay her down. So I changed it to lay, and this other person made that exact same comment. That is awesome. Okay, so she didn't mention anything in this scene here about the Save the Camp moment. So what I'm going to do, not that you guys care, I'll just open up my life to you, which I have for 100 days, so why not continue? I'm probably going to tell her about this, or maybe I'll just send her this new scene. I'm going to send both of them, just these scenes that I did, a significant or some work on, and just see what both of them think about it. But I still do like this. All right, so she didn't mention anything there. Lexi. How will the viewers know this is Lexi? Well, so she's asking in this sand volleyball scene how they're going to know it's Lexi. And the truth is they won't until, well, really after Jake's first line, they're going to know. The person watching the movie, and her point is, which makes, it's a logical point, how will the viewer know this is Lexi? Adding blank blank later would help, but I've already mentioned 14 years later, which is interesting because the other person said to add it in this conditioning room. So I think that will take care of that. As he gets into position. Oh, all right. This line here, that's a good point. So she suggests, as he gets into position. That's better. There should be a comma. As he gets into position, a cell phone rings. Okay. Good, good. See, it's little things like these. I mean, a great note and a great analyst doesn't have to, I mean, they will, he or she will say structurally, or, you know, character, I think this, I think that. But people that point out these little things just to, again, really polish a script can really help. And I will pause to say here that, and I'm not just saying me, I'm just saying I think it's a good idea if you're reading someone's script who has said, hey, I mean, they may not say this is a rough draft, but you may get that impression early on that, you know, this needs a ton of work. And so to go in and make all the little nitpicky things that people are now on mine, which again, I'm super glad they do. So I'm not saying don't do it. But if you're reading a script and it's just, it either isn't working or it's just poorly written or whatever, to go in and say, oh, and I am guilty of doing this, to really go in there and chop it apart and nitpick it, it's kind of a waste of your time and a waste of the person's time, because either the person is going to take your notes, which says, hey, this really needs a lot of work, and is going to completely change it, which hopefully will happen, or they're going to ignore you. So all of your time that went into, you know, making these very detailed notes is going to be wasted. So, but as with the other reviewer and this one, you know, just little things that make it read better is awesome, because that's what keeps a reader reading. Okay. Oh, comment. Oh, so that's, I love, this is kind of sounds self-serving, but I love it. This, I'll say it anyways, what the heck. I love it when people make good comments on my script. And that's probably is like the most obvious thing in the world. But as much time as we writers spend writing, and it could be dialogue, it could be an action scene, it could be whatever. When we get complimentary comments from writers that we respect, whose opinions we respect, that just, it's not as good as getting paid for writing the script, but it just feels so good. It just lights you up. So, and especially when you know that it comes from the heart. It's not like, oh, I loved your script. What'd you love about it? Oh, I don't know. I just loved it. That, I mean, that's nice to hear, but it lasts about a second. It's like chocolate or whatever they say when you eat chocolate. Okay. Anyways, so yeah, so her comment on this is nicely done early on, because that is like bang, hits him like a ton of bricks. Now, the next comment, maybe this stinks, but let's see. Ooh, all right. Blinks like a toad in a hailstorm. She liked that line too. Right here. I'm a U.S. Marshal. Okay. I'm almost, have you ever gotten that weird sensation where you get like a couple of nice comments and then you're almost afraid to keep reading comments because you're afraid they're going to get bad? It's like totally irrational and being a thin-skinned person. And by now, it's probably a, you know, maturity or whatever, that the older you get, not necessarily the older, but the more experience you get and all that, you get a thicker skin, and things still bother you. I mean, they still bother me when people say, I don't like this, I don't like that, whether it's a video I've made or some work that I've done or a script, or, you know, obviously when you make a movie and someone says, I don't really like it, it's like, oh, well, gosh, I only poured 5 years of my life into it, so thanks. But that's the business we're in. So we just need to get over it. Okay. Oh, interesting. So she doesn't think this line is needed. She just struck it out in red. Interesting. All I'm just thinking this through. It's officially called Witness Security Program. See, to me, Lexi delivers that line because the last thing that she expected Holly to do is what she did, which is to deflect Lexi's concern and say, everything will be okay. You know, you're safe and blah, blah, blah. But instead, Holly deflecting that says it's officially called WITSEC. And the reason, well, I mean, so this line is for sure needed. But the reason that I have Lexi's line is that she says, who cares? But she's really saying is, why don't you care about me? And, you know, you're dropping all these bombs on me and you don't show any compassion. You don't show any empathy. And so it's more of a line of frustration than, oh, what? I didn't know that. Thanks for telling me, Dr. Wizard or something. I'll certainly take that into, I'll certainly consider that. Okay. Looking through, no notes through brushing her teeth. Oh, all right. So she suggests, so these are little things, but again, this is awesome. So she suggests, instead of Holly exit her bathroom brushing her teeth, she exits the bathroom. I generally don't like to turn sentences around like that. A lot of writers do, and again, it's not right or wrong, but if so my rationale is visually interior bedroom night. What do we see? We see, the first thing we see is Holly exiting her bathroom while brushing her teeth. So if you start off a scene with brushing her teeth, then it implies like a close-up of her, a close-up of her brushing her teeth, and then you pull back and you see the bathroom or something. So I think I'm going to leave that. But again, it's not wrong. Yeah, same thing so she mentions this off-screen instead of off-camera, but I'm not going to me, off-screen is off-screen. So that's just a personal preference. 17. Okay, so now I'm on the go-kart scene. This is probably very boring for you because you can't see your notes, but again, I'm repeating them. So, trying to impress. Okay, so she didn't make any notes. Interesting. Super interesting. Oh, wow. Okay, so 18. So she had no notes at all in this scene. So that's going to be very interesting if and she may say, hey, Jack, don't bother me. If I send her that and say, what do you think about it? That would be, I'll have to think about that. But basically no notes through here. And now she's got a note here. Oh, I got to pause. Please stand by. We're back, sort of live. Okay, so exterior Eagle Creek Resort. She says, if this is a real place, I'd love to go there. So, this is totally silly. But maybe it's a consideration. So this is a real place. That is its real name. And I'm just thinking out loud again. And I think I mentioned this maybe in my commentary. But if this is a real place, and if, a filmmaker approached them and say, hey, we'd like to shoot part of our movie here, it's going to be tremendous publicity. What do you think? And I think it would be a win-win because I don't know how well known it is. Maybe it's booked all the time, but it just seems like a natural fit. Obviously the trampoline park, maybe not, because it's not, you know, it's not specified. It's kind of an abandoned or closed place, or maybe Salerno bought it out for the day or something. But so yeah, that's a whole lot of nothing. But that's what her comment was. Witness protection program, huh? Oh, never mind. Okay, I'm on page 25. Oh, here we go. Bottom of 25. She's got a comment on you're leaving for good. Stopping here from the, oh, okay, never mind. She says, my supervisor, this line, my supervisor, Paul Adwell, you're in good hands. She says, good timing on bringing in a new and possibly key character. Well, he is fairly key, but he's by no means new, which I think that's fine. Okay. Gosh, it's so funny. I'm scrolling through her notes and I'm just getting nervous because I'm just wondering what she's going to say next. So this is, you're just, you're not really quite experiencing it, but you sort of are. Whoops. On page 29, she has a comment about Paul that, is he a new character? And she says, if he's not, then maybe I fell asleep. So emphasize, if this pronoun is sarcastic, emphasize it. She's talking about Holly's line right here. And I talked about that because punch her in the face. What she's talking about by it is not it as in Rachel. She's talking about it as in her face, but she said to emphasize it. But she's thinking I'm referring to it as a pronoun, which I'm not. All right. But that's a very interesting, oh gosh. See through to the other side. So she's just making a lot of little comments, but again, they're all super helpful. She suggests removing the word through. They're too dense to see to the other side. To see through to the other side. To see to the other side. Yeah, I could see that. I could see that. Again, she's suggesting to change these off-camera things, but I don't believe I'm going to. I just want to know how long now. Oh, all right. Yeah, I'm not going to. Oh, she says, why does every character name have only 4 letters? The similarity makes it hard to remember who is who. Oh, yeah, I bet if she would have remembered Gary and Larry or Tony and Troy, she would have really had a lot of comments. You know, again, and I'm not saying I'm going to change it because of what she said. This could be Jacob and Lucas. I could change Abby's name, but I don't know. I mean, because they sound so different. I mean, Jake, Abby, Lexi, and Luke. I don't know that would confuse me. I don't know. I'm not saying she's wrong, but it's a very interesting comment. All right, nice shift in locations, she says, when we go to the interior of the plane right here. Wonder if I should say in flight. You know how I said moving? I wonder if I should add in flight. Actually, it wouldn't be in flight hyphenated. Maybe I think I will do that. Interesting. All right. It's just so funny how I get nervous. Okay, you got me. Is it a snake, a dead body, a leering old codger? Now, to be truly creative, why not all 3? That's her comment when Holly has Abby has a blood-curdling scream. So she obviously made that comment right away without looking ahead. Okay, 2 dead. She says, okay, 2 dead bodies. Fair enough. I've forgotten whether he saw them or not. If he did, he's lying. Fine. Otherwise, eliminate the action. Well, no, okay. So she's saying, sorry, you can't see what she's saying. Right here, she's saying Jake, when Jake shakes his head, it's indicating no, these aren't the 2 agents. But what I'm thinking is he shakes his head and says, we never saw him. And you can just sort of picture him shaking his head while he's saying that. Of course, I could put that under here in parenthetical information. These are 2 agents from the cabin. We never saw them. So he's not answering the question. This is more of a thing he's doing to himself. You know, how someone asks you something and you don't know, and so you said, I don't know. I mean, you certainly wouldn't nod. We never saw them. We never saw them. I think he would shake his head. Maybe I should do it like this, though. What do you think? We never saw them. Maybe that's better. Okay. Oh, lying. Oh, she is so good at catching these things. Gosh, after all these years, I still mix up lay, lie, laying, lying, all that stuff. It's crazy. I guess I never stopped to think about it enough. Okay. Effective and natural. Oh. Wow. Gosh, I'm sorry. It's just right here, she just commented on effective and natural dialogue, kudos. Again, I'm not praising myself or anything. Well, but when people read your stuff and they just like it and they appreciate it, gosh, it just makes you feel so good. So what did I do here that she liked? What did I not do? So you can imagine the kids, you know, they're kids. I say they're kids, but they're 20, 19 years old, whatever. And so the bad way, to me, the bad way of writing this is, why is the FBI involved? And then we have Paul go, well, I'm not sure that they are. We're going to have to give some study. And then Abby, did someone kidnap them? Well, we're not sure at this point, but we're going to try our hardest to find out. And then Jake, what did the FBI guy say? Well, he told me that this is an ongoing thing and da-da-da. And then Abby, was it the mob? Well, we can't be sure at this point. And so you've got a page of dialogue and you've learned nothing more. But instead, in real life, people, as I've said 1,000 times, you ask questions and they don't always get answered in real life either. Why is the FBI involved? Did someone kidnap them? What did the FBI guy say? Was it the mob? You can just hear those lines just being fired off. And Paul is not in the position to mess with any of this. So he's like, go inside, lock the doors. So there's my dramatic reading of that scene. Okay. Oh, there's an elderly man. Oh, here's the when the elderly guy shows up on the next page, she says, here's the elderly codger I knew had to show up. And the reason I wrote this, 100% the reason I wrote this, is I figured the person who owns the resort, give him or her a cameo and make his or her day. So literally 3 lines, and you don't have to be a Oscar-winning actor to deliver them. So that's literally the reason that I had this elderly man appear, which may sound really stupid, but it's totally different. But when they made my movie The Key available on Amazon Prime, it really could use some views. We filmed at a couple's house and barn about 20 miles away from where I am. and super, super nice couple. And they just basically opened up their place to us. Just amazing. And in that case, I didn't have to give either a role in the movie, but I thought, how could I write one of them in? But then we shot at a camera shop also, and the guy who owned it, when we went and scouted it, and I talked to him about, I don't know if I talked to him in person, I think I did, about using it. And then he actually found us another location, which was the basement of his place. So I talked to him and I said, wow, this guy he's a cool, nice guy, but I bet he could also act. And so he plays the owner of the camera shop in the movie. And, maybe you would know he's not an actor because it was an all volunteer cast, but he did a great job. He didn't have a ton of lines, which is, the way to write it. As long as they're there and they're in their element, that's what he does for a living. And so the lines were fairly realistic. Just something to keep in mind when you inevitably make your own movie, which you should. Highly recommend it. Or pay me $5 million and I'll make this. All right. It's just every time I see a little yellow note. So her note on the helicopter, which is right here, it's very practical. She says, how well do planes and helicopters fit into a small budget compared to stock footage? Herds of... Yeah, I'm not going to... I won't say her comment out loud because that would give away maybe who the person is. But she's just saying... well, it wouldn't give anything away to say that she has written some amazing stuff, but one of my comments to her is that it's pretty big budget because it's a period piece, and there's some a lot of location work, and there's a pretty big cast and some sets that would probably have to be built and stuff. So she's just saying, how do planes and helicopters, the cost of those compare to basically what I've got in my script. So it's not a criticism at all or whatever, but that's funny. Doesn't mean anything to you. He should add his name. So she's saying when Paul comes to their room, instead of just saying it's me, he should say it's Paul. That's probably a good point. It's me. It's Paul. I'm not going to begrudge her that. He's talked to him. Well, they'd probably recognize his name, but I think maybe being who he is, saying Paul is not a bad idea. Leaving Paul. Yeah, she has a comment on leaving Paul feeling pretty horrible. She says, how are you going to film this? Punch a wall. All right, so we'll find them. She crosses the luggage, collects it, stamps out of the door, leaving Paul. What is her suggestion? Shakily light a cigarette. Yeah. Well, the good news is I'm not going to film it probably, so I don't know. She's basically questioning how are we going to... Because usually, as I've said, I like to write visually, and this is not visually at all. It's just a feeling, and so I'm leaving it up to the actor and or the director to specify that. I certainly could write something there that would be specific, but like if I said, for instance, leaving Paul shaking his head, or leaving Paul with a downtrodden look on his face, or leaving Paul punching his fist through the wall, I guess, would all of those say feeling pretty horrible? Feeling bad? I don't know. That's a very good point, though. I will think about that. Whoops. Typo. Huh. Yeah, she caught a typo here, which I fixed, and I kind of mentioned Stoney because I had Tony and I changed it. All right. Touchdown. She watches a twin-engine plane touch down. I think that's one word. I'm pretty sure, or that's 2 words, right? It's not a touchdown. Let me pause for a minute and take a look. Please stand by. I was wrong. She is right. This is 1 word, touchdown. Huh. I did not know that. No one has caught that yet. Thank you. All right, back to her notes. Whoa, she's got a whole bunch of notes here. The thing about the same words close together that shows a lack of attention to. Oh. So she's saying touchdown, wind down, starts down, down the steps. She's saying that correctly. She's saying that that shows a lack of attention to vocabulary. Oh, very good. Okay, so inadvertently she found out that this is all right, so the plane's touching down. I mean, I could say descends the stairs, but that I want to say that he starts. He doesn't get all the way. She doesn't get all the way down them. Starts down the starts descending the stairs. The engines wind down. I could say this. I mean, again, so this is a thing, 100% cosmetic, because in the movie, when they're shooting it, they're out there, they go, all right, Holly, descend the stairs. And obviously, most likely the director is going to say, all right, start going down the stairs. So I don't know that but I 100% see what she's saying is that it shows a lack of vocabulary. So so touchdown, that's fine. Then continues down the stairs. Phones. All right. So changing that will make it a little better. Motions for the kids to be quiet. She checks to see who's calling. Motions for the kids to be quiet. Oh, she motioned for quiet twice. So her phone rings. She checks to see who's calling. Motions for the kids to be quiet. Connects the call. Her lie surprises. I can just get rid of this line. Oh, crap. I hate it when I do that. Darn it. Motion. Sorry. Fiddlesticks. Motions for the kids. Sorry about that. I'm just going to get rid of this line. Okay. I just got off. So she's pointing, got off a call, a helicopter that took off. So she's just saying, you know, this shows kind of a laziness of, but I don't know. I just hung up. I just hung up with the FBI. They believe a copter that left. I mean, you could say left, I guess. Man, these are great points that she has. They're just, again, tiny, tiny, tiny things that don't do anything to change the story, but they just make a reader's reading that much more pleasant. I just hung up. I just hung up with the FBI. They believe a copter that left from a field. They believe that a copter that left from a field near the camp. Well, left. Nah, it's got to be off. That lifted off. That landed in Wright City 10 minutes ago. I just hung up. I just got off a call. I just hung up with the FBI. Would that make sense? I just hung up. I was just talking with the FBI. I just got off a call. Gosh, this is probably super boring to you, but it's not to me. And I can always not use this voiceover. I can always just do the whatever. I just got off a call with the FBI. They believe a copter that took off. Yeah, this kind of They believe a copter. But, I mean, lift it off. That doesn't help. They believe that a copter left a field that man, that's just not as good. Left a field near the cabins. I just hung up. See, if he says, I just got done talking to the FBI, I mean, he could say that, because that, I mean, I just got done talking. Ah, but let's see what it does. It puts it down there, another line. Oh, wait a minute. When in doubt, see, got done. I just talked with the FBI. Boom. Look at that. Little things, but I think it's better. I just talked to the FBI. They believe a copter. Yeah. Thank you for that note. She motions for him to keep quiet again. Puts a finger to her lips. Puts a warning. I could say admonishes them. She mentioned, Holly puts a warning finger to her lips. I'll leave that, see if that works. But Holly shushes her. Yeah, it wouldn't be again. Okay. Wow, she is really Are you selling this? Oh, that's interesting. Right here. She says, are you selling this or directing this? If you're selling it, stop directing every glance. If number 2, use this as a shooting script, not a foot in someone else's door. Well, that's very insightful. So she's saying to cut out, like I've got this, looks at the kids, looks to Jake for support, and gives her a look. So she's recommending to take some of these looks out. Which, I mean, I have no problem with that comment because I do have a lot of looks and stuff like that. And what she's saying is, if it's a spec script, we don't need to read all this. And if it's a shooting script, well, it's not a shooting script. So that's her point. Maybe, so I'm just thinking this through in real time. So it's another reason where maybe I won't end up doing this whole thing live. All right. I'm sure Holly disconnects. And Holly looks... Holly disconnects. And in... Oh. So really, Abby can't wait to speak. But I mean, she has to look at him for support, including not telling Paul we lied to her. Gives her a look. I mean, I do understand this is overdone. The lookage. We could say before Holly replies, can reply. I don't like using the word before generally. Before Holly can reply, Jake sets in front of Abby halfway to Alexandria. If I didn't know better. Okay. All right, good comments. Ah, she's busting me on all of these looks. Looks. Look. I said end of discussion. You're good with this? As I said, end of discussion. So let's just... All right. Oh my gosh, why do I keep doing that? So maddening. That's because of my keys are in a different place. I think I've mentioned that before. Grouses for a moment. So maybe I could do this, but it's going to be too long. He turns toward his car about 100 feet away. Okay, I think that works. Each is from hers. So she's making a comment here about face and face. Luke and Lexi lie overlapping each other, turns and sees Luke. Well, blinks herself awake. She wouldn't have to rub her face, I guess. Okay. Smacks her in the face. All right, she just makes some very good comments about get rid of the word face because I had face. All right. Back on. The tramp. Where's, oh, trampoline. She says the tramp, thinking Charlie Chaplin the tramp. Back onto the tramp. Yeah, I don't know that I will change that. Obviously, most people know tramp is short for trampoline. I think, I hope, especially since it's not capitalized. Whoops. Luke gets to his feet. Wow, that's crazy that I hadn't caught that. Well, this is... she rolls back, regains her balance, now more or less alert. Gets to his feet is kind of boring, isn't it? He doesn't really struggle, but he kind of groggily, but that's an adjective. Now more or less alert. I'm just going to say he suddenly comes to. Come on. So she just, I'm going to, now, Luke gets to his feet. Well, I'm going to get rid of this. I think that'll be implied. Now more or less gets to his feet. Oh, great line. I don't know if mine's his memory or that cabin seeing your mom, but she liked something in here, so that's good. Okay, emotions, and let's get out of here. So she suggests removing this line. I rarely end a scene, and I never start a scene on dialogue. They both come up empty. Their eyes settle on one another's. Let's get out of here. Cut. Yeah, I think that is legitimate. Obviously. Okay, I fix that. Okay. Just comment on some dialogue. Right, and then on this part about the ESP, she liked that. Watches. Oh, so she's got a question on this. Abby next to him, watching Holly, seated opposite. Oh, yeah, this is not right. Jake gazes out the window. Abby next to him watches Holly, seated opposite them. Seated opposite them, study her laptop screen. Watches Holly study her laptop screen. Yeah, I think I can get rid of this. Pretty big step up. Yeah, I think that's fine. Normally, you know, repeating this is, you would say Holly nods and Holly nods again, but in a script, the word again, I don't know that it really has a place. And I'm not going to sit here and try to reason it out, but I mean, visually, again, you can't see, right? You can see Holly nods, you can see Holly folds the screen. But if she's done it before, you wouldn't say she folds the screen down again because the audience can't see again. So that's my rationale. And she didn't mention anything. I'm just saying that. Oh, gosh, I'm sorry, but she loves this line, she said. And wow, she gets me, I think, which is awesome. She's saying, and now she's rubbing it in, which is exactly what she's doing. So that's pretty sweet. All right, so she likes this line. That's good. Goes back to looking out the window. Okay, she did. It's funny, the stuff that, I mean, it's not funny in a bad way that she points out. Returns to looking out the window. Returns to looking out the window. Goes back to. All right. Gosh, it's crazy. So I had no part in that. So originally I had Lexi saying, then why weren't you lying there? And so I've changed this line. Let me make sure I still like it. It's not. Then where have you been? A psycho and a liar. Okay, more comic relief. All right. Okay, she suggests cutting out this line altogether. Rachel's phone rings with a FaceTime call. What? Sorry about me yelling. My wife almost had a, never mind. So she suggests Rachel's phone rings with a FaceTime call. Right on time. I don't even have her answering it. Oh, as Rachel answered. So she suggests cutting this out, but if I cut this out, we don't know that she's answered. Rethink this stereotype. That's in relation to this. Well, I think they would share a puzzled look. I think she's just suggesting that look. Maybe too many looks. Rachel's phone rings with a FaceTime call. She answers. She answers. So she says this is a stereotype. Yeah, I know. I could say he's dignified. Because he is a dignified guy, right? Or distinguished, that's what I mean. Distinguished. Let's try that. All right. Bomb. Oh. Huh. So for this line, she says, bombshell, woot, woot. Okay, so, interesting. All of these looks she's voting against, which certainly don't blame her. My only child who'll never know he gave me my only grandchild. Whoa. So that's, please tell me you didn't sleep with him. No, my son, only child who'll never know if he gave me, who'll never know he gave me my, only child who'll never know he gave me my only grandchild. As his words sink in. Share a look. Lexi. What if she says no? This is probably super boring for you. Lexi and Luke share a look. Yeah, I mean, it is a lot of looking. I mean, Lexi has to have some reaction. Well, Lexi has to react at some capacity. Lexi. Maybe that. Stopping here, we'll resume later. All right, so this is how far she's read. Right to here. All right, so she's literally halfway through plus a tiny bit. And I think I will stop the recording now. 56 minutes. Anyways, thanks to her for the notes, and thank you for bearing with me. But if I re-recorded this as a voiceover, then no thanks. Day 101, though, either way, signing off. Thanks for hanging in there.